And we are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm one of your co-hosts, Blake Ruffino. Alongside me is Jersey Joe DeLeone. Good evening, good sir.
Blake, we are officially 1 week closer to the Ruffino and Joe Bowl being played later on in December. You know what I'm talking about here?
So if Notre Dame and LSU are to play, which I don't,
Yes.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know if they're going to do it. I've been talking to some people. I don't think they're going to do it. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it.
It seems like it's setting up perfectly. I feel like and your sourcing on this is going to be a lot better than mine, but I feel like every major outlet that's predicting these bowls has been saying that Notre Dame's going to play LSU.
I was told that it's that people want it to happen, not necessarily that they do. Now, you're going to say that I'm lying. That's fine. I've heard that Notre Dame does not want that.
Would not surprise me.
Yeah,
because
Notre Dame
it's a lose-lose in that situation.
Well,
they're not going to have their quarterback, and
neither will LSU.
Right. But
wait.
Let's be honest, though. If one team doesn't have their quarterback compared to the other, Notre Dame would be a lot more screwed than LSU would be.
There's some people who think that Jane Daniels would play the bowl game.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Bryce Young played it last year. Because of the fact that he wants certain records. Jane Daniels wants certain records. Bro, he was going stupid last night. Okay? Wait.
How, in what striking distance, not to take us too far down the LSU rabbit hole, but what striking distance is he in for certain records, like regular season? He can't play enough football games to break the Joe Burrow ones, can he?
No, he can't. He can't break. I mean, Joe Burrow had 65 total touchdowns.
Right.
Now he's closing in on 50. Okay. He would have to go nuclear, right? Like he'd have to go nuclear, but I think
but that's 7 and 8 basically what he would need to do.
But if he got to 55, I think people would start, nevertheless. All right. But if they do play, me and you will go there. But you know what, man? Speaking of LSU, their first opponent of the season, God dog it, I feel bad for Jordan Travis. Yeah. That was so nasty. But Joe, I feel bad for him. I feel bad for the entire Florida State fan base. Jordan Travis is such a good quarterback, man. I don't know how much of a prospect he'd be in the NFL, but my God, he's such a good college quarterback, and he does such a lot of good things. But the truth is now we have to start talking about how does this look for Florida State moving forward in the playoff?
I don't think he would have been a first-round quarterback this year, but there were a good amount of people.
He'd be a second.
Pre-injury, I think he could have gone somewhere in the third round for a team that wanted a little bit of a project because he's athletic. He's done some nice things, but the injury stuff it stinks. You need a guy like that to go to the combine to look good throwing the football. The whiteboard stuff's important, but man, not being able to throw the combine is probably going to hurt him. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to take any blame for this, but I don't know what it was. That on Saturday morning, I was thinking to myself, like, man, there's all these soft cupcake matchups. Why does it feel like somebody's going to get hurt in a stupid game? And it ended up happening.
Because it feels like it always does, But look, I thought that there were good games. Look, don't be counting down every single week. Oh, we're 17 days away from college football, and then say, well, this week sucks. I thought that there were a lot of good games. I thought Michigan and Maryland that we'll talk about was a really good game.
Yeah.
I thought Washington and Oregon State, man. Look.
That was a really damn good football game. It was rainy. Exactly what you need in a rainy game. Bad snaps on punts. You got multiple fumbles, tipped balls. That's what I want from a Pac-12 game played in the rain in Oregon. That was a hell of a game.
Hell of a game. And look, I got to be real with you. You're going to hate me for saying this. We're going to have to, at some point probably this week, we're going to have a serious conversation about Alabama and Jalen Milroe. We're going to have that conversation.
In what context?
I think we might even have a little bit tonight. Now that Florida State and Jordan Travis isn't there, I mean, look, Oregon, Washington, all of this is going to play itself out, okay? But there's not another team in the country I think is playing better than them, not named Georgia.
The problem is, though, in a different year, maybe it was last year, where there were a lot more question marks of who that fourth team was because there were a lot of teams with similar resumes, similar loss totals, all that stuff. But I think that this year, with the fact that there's a really strong chance that we might even have 4 or at least 3 undefeated teams, And then there's going to be another couple of one-loss teams, a two-loss Alabama team. If they do not beat Georgia, they can't go to the playoffs.
Well, we're not going to have that many because Michigan and Ohio State's got to lose this week, right? One of those teams is going to lose this week.
Right.
Okay? That gets them down.
But if theoretically, if Washington, Georgia, and then the winner of Michigan, Ohio State, and then Florida State, that's three undefeated teams, right? No, 4 undefeated teams right there, right? Is my math wrong?
Your math's wrong. Because if Georgia loses,
no, I'm saying if Georgia wins, though.
But in my scenarios where I thought you were in,
sorry.
If Georgia were to lose, I don't think that they will. But if Georgia were to lose, if Florida State were to lose, look, I think Louisville's got a really damn good chance now.
They do.
I got to be real with you. Florida State's on upset alert this weekend in the Swamp.
Well, it's worth noting that Florida, Graham Mertz is done with a collarbone injury, so
they're on upset alert.
Are they, though?
They're on upset alert. You mean to tell me that kid that went in there last night against Missouri, he did not look bad?
No, I think he played fine, but for the circumstance, I'm just going to go plain and simple. The fact that this is played in the Swamp, as you're saying, I'm going off of you pointing it out. I don't know that for sure off the top of my head. The fact that if this is in the Swamp, that's huge for Florida. We know that it's really hard to get wins there if you're a traveling team. But I still lean Florida State in that circumstance.
I lean too. I didn't.
We should probably preview that game, by the way. We should probably preview that one this week.
Yeah, we definitely should. I didn't say they're going to lose. I'm just saying. All right. And by the way, before we get rolling, we do have a lot we're going to discuss here today. Maryland, Michigan, Washington, Oregon State, Georgia, Tennessee. We'll talk some Florida State and this Jordan Travis. And we'll talk a little bit more about the playoff here in reference to that too.
Mm-hmm.
How about New Mexico State going down to Auburn and the splattering that we all knew that was coming? Actually, not really. My goodness, dude. My God.
One could have argued that Auburn could maybe have come into the Iron Bowl and maybe have just pulled out a crazy upset, but that's completely off the table now. There's no way you bounce back from that if you're Auburn. There's
there's a lot of rivalry games this week. I think we got to talk about the Iron Bowl, but I'm going to tell you the truth. I know you don't want to hear this. That game is as goofy and as crazy as all get out. I saw TJ Finley and Auburn almost upset Alabama.
Well, that's what I always come back to. That's not
even the pinnacle. I saw Chris Davis, the DB from Auburn, is one of the best college football players in people's minds of all time because of the kick six. My man was not that good.
No.
Right? He was not that good. No. So
by the way,
bottom line is, I think, listen to me.
Yes.
I think them losing makes this game even more intriguing to me.
You're gonna piss off the Alabama fans, man. Don't do this. Don't do this. You're gonna piss them off.
Well, you know what's crazy about these Bama fans, by the way?
What?
They're mad at me. Of either two of us that they should be mad at, why in the hell are they mad at me?
Hey, man, when you're just that, they're a fan base that just gets mad at everybody that's not their
They're
own.
mad at everything we say.
Dude,
Joe, this past week I predicted Jalen Milroe is going to go for 404 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, that man's going for 500, you piece of shit. I'm like, oh, my God.
You can't get anything right, man.
Can't get anything right.
By the way, Jerry Kill, though, the head coach of New Mexico State, should absolutely be in the conversation. Not for the top jobs, but some of these lower-level Power 5 jobs, mid-level. Mississippi State, man. Put that name on their short list. They're 9-3 this year, 8-3.
How do I want to say this without? Because I don't want you to associate Mississippi State with this coach.
Okay.
Do not be surprised if Barry Odom's name starts heating up.
I could see that. That's another good one. That's another small school guy that would make a lot of sense.
Las Vegas, man, they're ready to spend money. All right, we got a lot to discuss. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share to all those social media groups if you're on Facebook. Joe, by the way, 275,000 views on Facebook in the last month and a half just on this show. Wow. Thank you guys so much for doing that. Wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. And if you're watching us on YouTube, continue to subscribe. We're very close, Joe. How close are we to 3,000 subscribers? I think maybe
We're
like
about 65 away from 3,000. So share with your
65.
friends. Everybody, you got crazy friends like like ourselves that like football.
Well, look,
like
you're going
football.
home this week. Everybody's going home this week.
Yes.
Everybody's going to be around family for Thanksgiving. Whip out the phone. Tell everybody to start subscribing.
Better yet, if we could get one person, I just want to see if we can get at least one person like in the middle of the day on Thursday, get it up on the big TV and start playing it on full volume. If you can get us a picture of that, I don't know. We got to give them something. We got to give them something.
We'll send them a prize.
Yeah.
If you listen, so okay. If you put on Ruffino and Joe show during Thanksgiving Day and send it to us, okay, I'll send you something. We'll send them something. We'll do any. You know what I do? Here's because I'm wearing my Whole Field Apparel shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Any piece of shirts, whatever.
We'll send them a home field shirt. Let's do that.
We'll send them a home field shirt. How about that?
Okay.
All right.
Good deal.
We got a lot to discuss. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag. Don't go anywhere. We're back next. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. Did I or did I not tell you that Iowa State-Texas game was going to be closer than everybody was saying it was going to be?
You did. One thing I want to bring up with that, and I said this to you pre-show, I really do not want Texas in the college football playoff. And I have no bias towards Texas. There's nothing to do with that.
Yes, you do.
Wait. I have nothing against Texas. I just don't think that they are one of the top 4 teams in the country right now. It's a bit problematic that when they don't get big plays, they can't score. And that's why this game was so close, because Iowa State plays that 3-3-5 stack defense that is designed to limit big plays, and it just keeps everything in front of them. That was why there was so low scoring. I think if anyone's smart enough to pull up that tape, you can really hold them below 20 points if you have a good defense with better athletes than Iowa State has.
You could tell that they were missing Brooks.
Yeah.
Massively. I think that's why I've been saying for the last couple of weeks when we do these power ratings, if Bama played them again, it'd be a splattering.
I won't go as far as to say it would be a splattering.
But
I don't agree with that. I think it would be close. And I think Alabama would pull out the victory because Saban's not somebody you lose to twice, but I don't think it'd be a splattering. Okay.
You don't know Saban like I know Saban. I've seen that man. I'm telling you, listen to me. Just listen to me for once. Okay. We got a lot to discuss. By the way, I know that we're still in the middle of the 2023 season, but it is November 19th, 2023, the year of our Lord. I am taking Utah to win the Big 12 in 2024.
You're stealing my take, man. You're stealing my take. You're also trying to get a little bit of saved face here with Utah.
Cam Rising's back.
I know that Cam Rising's back, but you stole my take. I said that back in realignment that Utah was going to come in swinging and that they were going to win the conference.
But you didn't know Cam Rising was coming back.
It's a good point.
All right. This past weekend, there was some really tragic news, especially if you're in Tallahassee, especially if you're a Florida State fan. Jordan Travis went down in it's the Dak injury, right? It's Joe, I don't know. People call it the hip takedown, I don't
know if that was a hip drop, though. That didn't look like a hip drop.
The hip drop, whatever they're calling it. Look, man, that's tough, okay? I don't think the kid was trying to hurt Jordan Travis.
No.
Okay, I really don't. But regardless, Jordan Travis out for the remainder of the year. I don't know if it's ankle, leg. I mean, you saw his ankle hanging off. You assume it's ankle.
Yeah, that damn thing's broken. There's no doubt about it. That there's no timetable for recovery. It's done.
If you're going to fight with me over what it is, you're just fighting over semantics. Okay, we all saw it.
Yeah.
They wind up coming back and beating North Alabama. Good for them. They face Florida this weekend. Joe, I got to be honest. This is devastating because Florida State was a team in the beginning of the year that I picked to be in the playoff. You picked to also be in the playoff as one of the top 4 teams. I don't think I don't. Should they deserve to be in there? Yes. If they win out, yes. They deserve to be in there from what they've done all year. But, man, can this Tate Rodemaker kid, can he lead him to a victory in a playoff?
Here's my thing, and I'm actually – obviously, Tate Rodemaker is not Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis has a ton of snaps under his belt. He is a seasoned pro at the quarterback position in the ACC, even at 2 schools. He has been around the block, and he has been a big reason for their offensive success, plus the fact that this offense is loaded with a bunch of future NFL stars, Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, Trey Benson, all those guys, big fans of all those players, Jaheim Bell as well. The thing that, though, is beneficial here with Rodemaker is that he's actually been asked to come in and finish games before. This is not a situation where you're bringing in a freshman or a sophomore that has limited experience, has a limited ceiling, and you don't know what you're getting. We've at least seen him step in and play. He is not to the level of Jordan Travis, and we shouldn't expect that he's going to play to that same level. But we should at least be able to believe that if they make some offensive adjustments, they can still survive in advance. They can beat Florida. They can beat Louisville in the ACC championship game. The bigger debate now becomes, does the playoff committee inevitably, do they put that into the conversation? Does that come into the conversation of, do we want to send a team with a backup quarterback to the playoff?
Okay, well, listen, if he beats Florida and he beats Louisville and this team goes 13-0 and you keep them out, you're a piece of dong. You're a piece of dong. Okay,
exactly.
Like there should be this team. If they run the table in the Power 5 and they're undefeated, I don't care what Power 5. Really, be honest with you, Joe. I don't care what Power 5 conference you're in. If you're undefeated and you're 13-0 going into the playoff, you deserve to be in there, okay? Because it's unfair to everybody and everything that they've done before then. But I'm going to tell you something. The kid, I went back and why I watched Florida State, North Alabama more today than I should have. I don't think Rodemaker, now he's put into a very tough spot.
Yes.
Okay. Extremely tough spot. Man, he missed 10 passes. He was 13 of 23. He didn't look great. He didn't look bad. He looked average. Now,
that's the best way to describe him.
What I did like about Florida State was everybody knew the situation. And they responded very nicely. They ran the football very, very well. They played much more inspired defensively after that injury. Because here's the truth. Guys like Jordan Travis, guys like Bo Nix, Jane Daniels, even I would say right now, Jalen Milroe. Okay, the teams that are in there, Carson Beck, they're your safety blanket because, look, I can be aggressive because, look, I know that Carson Beck or Jordan Travis or Jaden Daniels, they're going to come back out here and score, right? Everybody around them stood up. The next 2 weeks is the most crucial thing ever. Now, everybody looks at what Louisville did against Miami and says to themselves, oh, Florida State's going to beat Louisville. Well, Florida State just also beat Miami in a very close fashion, just like Louisville did. Joe, I don't know if Florida State can beat them right now. But hold on.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Florida State, without question, is extremely more talented than Louisville is. If this Rodemaker kid can, and you can game plan for him, can he manage what they need to do? Quick passes to Keon Coleman, running the football, some zone reads, some RPOs. if you can manage, okay, and be very good at game planning, I think you can get through the next 2 weeks. Okay.
That's it for me. I think that if you're Florida State, you have to motivate, reinvigorate your run game. Your run game has been inconsistent throughout this year. Very inconsistent.
They're not a good running football team, man.
But when it's really just because of the interior of their offensive line has had some up and down games.
Yep.
You have to find a way to get this run game being your strength. It has to be your most important asset when you have a backup quarterback in. Rodemaker, again, we're talking about here, he's fine. I will say this, though, and you kind of just said it, but I don't know if you'll fully agree with me. I think even with Rodemaker in there, offensively, they're still more talented than Louisville. They're still more offensively explosive than Louisville.
The problem that I have with this is one big thing. I think when teams are very young under a new head coach, I'm more inspired by what Louisville did at Miami than I've been on them at any point of the year. I thought Notre Dame, okay, look, you're at home, you can play up, it is what it is. Them being on the road against I'm going to call it what it is, a very talented Miami team, okay?
Poorly coached, but talented.
Well, Joe,
Mario blew that game. Mario, one of the worst timeout calls in college football this year.
When Van Dyke doesn't make mistakes, we've seen what they are.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a reason they're still a top 35 offense. When he doesn't make mistakes, they move the football.
Yes.
They battled, they faced adversity, okay, and they overcame it. I think they're going to win in 2 weeks.
You think that Louisville is going to beat Florida State?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Louisville to win. But mainly due to the fact I just don't know it. 2 weeks is not going to prepare me for what I've seen from Plummer the last 13 games.
I understand that.
Now look, Louisville's got Kentucky, and you better not sleep on that now.
Yes, that's a very, very good point. I understand where you're coming from, and I don't think that this is like a hugely volatile debate. Like, I don't think this is going to be one of our most heated debates. It might actually end up becoming one. As much as I can see the argument for why Louisville has an advantage here, we don't know what Rodemaker is going to do. If Rodemaker could come out here and throw for 400 yards against Florida, I know he's not. I'm just saying theoretically,
he's not. There's no game on planet Earth he's going to throw for 400 yards.
I'm just being hyperbolic. I'm just saying we have no idea really what he is.
Spell hyperbolic.
HYPERBOLIC. I think I misspelled that.
You still misspelled it.
I don't care. That's what we have spell check for.
Very true.
Here's the thing, though. I've seen enough of Louisville to know that they're a good football team, but this past game against Miami, they gave up some really, really big rushing lanes, some long rushing plays to Miami. Trey Benson might eat in that game. And I don't know if Louisville's got those corners that can match up with Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson.
It doesn't matter if they can match up. Can the kid get it to him? Because, Joe, he couldn't get it to him against North Alabama. And I know that Louisville has better personnel.
It's a fair point. But I just feel, though, that this is not a circumstance where Jordan Travis was a quarterback that was 90% of their success. This is not a circumstance where their offensive performance was contingent on their quarterback's performance. I
fully disagree.
My point here is look at the weapons that is on this team. This offense is loaded with talent.
But Jordan Travis, when they played Clemson, they only had, I think, 50-something rushing yards, right? You remember that? Which, by the way, how did that Clemson pick work for you?
All right, move on.
Okay.
No more victory laps in the middle of the show.
Nevertheless, okay, I am going to watch. Now, if you ask me today, who would I pick? I would pick Louisville. Okay. This next game against Florida, I think, is crucial.
Yes.
Here's the question that I would ask you to transition this. Okay. Let's just say, let's go down the list of teams. And I'm going to say in the SEC and Big Ten very quickly. Let's say that Bama beat Georgia, right? Let's say that Ohio State beat Michigan or Michigan beat Ohio State. Pick one. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Can Florida State with Tate Rodemaker beat any one of those three teams?
Probably not. Probably
No.
not. And that's the problem here.
Let's ask the question. Okay. If they did go undefeated, all right, and let's just say you got a 1-loss Georgia, a 1-loss Bama, you have a 1-loss Michigan, a 1-loss Ohio State, however it goes out. Joe, I got to be real. Even though I think personally, because of what they've done, they deserve to be there.
Yes.
There's a part of me that says, listen, in another way, you would get demolished by any one of those teams because Jordan Travis is not there.
Here, though, is in this isn't original. This is something that's been brought up even in a very jovial manner, bringing up the Cardale Jones stuff. Like, it's currently now a circulating joke, resurfacing some of the quotes from Cardale Jones and putting Tate Rodemaker's face on it right now. It's actually quite funny.
Anytime we mention Cardale Jones on this show, let's remember that he beat a kid in a hospital in NCAA 84-6. Okay.
So what we need to do is we need to send Tate Rodemaker to the nearest children's hospital now. And in all seriousness, though, there is a world, and if we compare that Ohio State team to this Florida State team offensively, just purely offensively, I think that there's similar talent levels at the skill positions.
Let me ask a very quick question. Wouldn't you have to throw out everything from Florida State offensively?
Why?
They're going to have to be completely different than who they are. Everything that they've done from this point, from LSU until North Alabama, it's washed.
They will have to make changes, but what I'm getting at here is that when the injuries that happened for Ohio State the year that they won that national championship, it was like a foregone conclusion by everybody that Ohio State was done. Nobody thought twice about Ohio State in that conversation. It was like, oh, they're in the 4th spot. They're going to get cooked. And look what they did.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to do it this week because they just beat a number 11 team. Florida State's out right now and looking in. They're on the outside looking in, Joe.
Yeah, they're moving to number 5. I don't disagree with that.
Because you got to look, you have 4 undefeated teams or 4 undefeated teams that are going to be in there, right? Florida, I can't put Florida State in there knowing that Jordan Travis is out. Okay. Anything else you want to put up on this? Now, I will say this. You brought up the Cardale Jones part. He's not Cardale Jones. I've seen enough.
We didn't know who Cardale Jones was, though, when he stepped into that offense, though.
You better go find Blake J. Ruffino on Twitter and type in Cardale Jones and find out some things that I was tweeting.
What did you know about Cardale Jones before he played?
I literally came out on Twitter. I'll never forget this. When Twitter was like brand new and like tweeted like something ridiculous, but it got so much traction, I think I had to delete it, but it might still be up there.
I hate you. I hate you for doing this. Okay, what? Go ahead. Sorry.
Never mind.
No, I'm being a dick. I'm sorry. I'm being a dick.
Never
mind.
I'm
being a dick. No. What was your take?
I picked him to beat Bama.
I wonder why Bama fans don't like you.
Well, it doesn't matter. He won. If my take's right, it doesn't matter if you fucking hate me or not.
That's a good point.
All right. Sorry for the curse words. By the way, people are mad that how much I curse. All right. You want to talk a little Georgia, Tennessee here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Georgia, Tennessee this past weekend in Knoxville. Now, listen, Joe, I thought that this game was going to get a little crazy. Let me tell you why. Okay. I thought my pick was in jeopardy. I saw your boy Wright go 75-yard run for a touchdown. I was like, oh, shit. All right. End of the first quarter. Here comes Peyton Manning escorting Dolly Parton. I was like, big boob Dolly Parton. All right. She's singing off key. And I'm like, oh, shit. Georgia's in trouble.
Oh, my God.
And then I remember very quickly, Kirby Smart's the head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs. And they came out. Listen, I'm going to be real with you. I say this every week. I just don't know if I've seen a quarterback who steps in the very next year, okay? Like, we should have expected Carson Beck to be a step down from Stetson Bennett, right? Mm-hmm. You won 2 national titles. You shouldn't expect that. Joe, the game that Carson Beck just had on Saturday, my God, He 24 for 30, 298, 3 touchdowns. You know who my favorite player on the Georgia Bulldogs is. It's Dylan Bell. He threw for one, a touchdown, 5 catches, 90 yards. Lan McConkey, where are you? Like, Joe, it does. Every time I watch Georgia play, it doesn't matter what happens. Brock Bowers out. Doesn't matter. They're going to continue to plug offensively. Lad Mahonky doesn't have a catch. Does not matter. This team's going to roll. But Tennessee defensively got 5 stops, either stops or held Georgia to a field goal. Now, Tennessee could have and should have. I'm not saying they're going to win it. I don't think they would have won it. Tennessee should have kept that game close, but Joe Milton kept them out of it. Because when you have 5 punts, turnover on downs, or you stop them to field goals, Joe, you should be able to offensively be able to go down the field, okay, and get you some points to keep you close in that game. When you make that many stops, right? Mm-hmm. The bottom line is for Tennessee fans, you better be glad Milton's out, because I texted you during the game. I'm pretty sure I texted you or tweeted you. I don't remember.
You tweeted me, yeah.
Nico, say his last name?
Iamaleava
should have been in that football game. And you told me during the week, everybody got on Blake, you can't put him in there against Georgia. Joe Milton is regressing in front of our eyes. What do you mean that he shouldn't be in that game?
Wait, let's be real for a second. The guy, he was never good. He was never a good quarterback.
He led them to a 7-1, 7-2 record. It's not like they were bad. My point is, Joe, he's 17 of 30, excuse me. Like, there are wide open passes that he's missing. So when I look at like Josh Heupel and people are like, oh my God, what's going on with Josh Heupel? He's got wide ass open receivers. He's just too goddamn hard-headed to put Nico in there that gives him a chance. Joe, I'm going to tell you something. They got, again, 5 stops, either turnover downs, punts, or field goals. Tennessee should have been at minimum in the game. But Georgia just continues to impress. They're the best team. Joe, if you ask me today, who's going to win a natty, there's nobody in the field that I think that can beat them no matter what happens. Georgia's just that good, man.
I know that we're kind of a broken record at this point, and it seems like people think that we're a Georgia podcast. I can promise you that we're not. But our thoughts on them are just continually reemphasized. I'm going to go back to the take that I had last week. The way that they play football is genuinely unique in the sense that they just slowly beat up on you throughout the game to a point where you're submitting by the end of it. That Jalen Wright touchdown, I was like, okay, everyone scores seemingly on their first drive when they play Georgia. Usually they figure out pretty quickly how to stop everything, and then the game gets away from them, and then Georgia starts to pull away. I also tweeted this, and I think I've seen a number of other people share the same sentiment. I feel like every single week Carson Beck is improving. I feel like there is a different facet of his game that is improving and getting better. And I think it's gotten to the point where his decision-making, his poise, his delivery, his timing, all of that stuff is at an elite level. I don't think he's going to declare for the 2024 NFL draft from what I've heard. But if he did, he would be at the very minimum the 4th quarterback in the class. The kid is phenomenal.
He's not leaving.
I don't think he will. There is, if he has an agent, they will advise him to stay because let's be honest, a lot of times these quarterbacks that have only started
he wouldn't go above like a Caleb.
No, he wouldn't go above it. It would go Caleb Drinkmay in any order of those 2.
Jaden Daniels.
I'm hearing Jaden Daniels might be 3, and then Carson Beck would probably be 4.
It would be just him and Shedeur.
Right. That's why it would probably behoove him to stay, because then it doesn't matter if there's no conversation. There's too many quarterbacks. It would be better for him to go back, go win a second freaking national title, and then march on off to the NFL. Maybe even with a Heisman Trophy if he plays as good as he's doing this year. He might even be in the conversation this year.
Look, he's not.
He might win the award. Let's be honest with ourselves. He might win the award just off of the bias of picking the best team and giving the best player on the best team that award. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Here's the thing on that, what you just said, I keep hearing, okay, Marvin Harrison, like best player in the game, he had 3 catches for 30 yards.
His draft projection.
I don't give a flying shit about his draft projection.
That's what I'm getting at. Everyone has allowed his draft projection to be assimilated with his Heisman hype. They're not the same thing. They're not.
I love Marvin Harrison. I think
yes.
If I'm a GM, and look, I'm an LSU guy, I would have a conversation about obviously Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison, but you don't 6'4" dudes that run 4 threes don't grow on trees.
No.
All right. The bottom line becomes for this Georgia team, Joe, they beat you in so many different ways. Dillon Bell is, you know who Georgia is? Can I tell you who Georgia is?
Who?
They're the Patriots with Brady.
Yeah, I like that.
Because you got dudes like Dillon Bell throwing touchdown passes, 5 catches, 90 yards. Defensively, Joe, I think they're getting better, which is scary. But they're getting better there.
That was my whole thing last week. Is I brought up the fact that Jamon Dumas-Johnson, who is the centerpiece, that having a Mike linebacker that's experienced, fast, that is the most important.
Explosive.
He's a good player too, and he's going to be drafted highly. But that's usually a really important piece to lose to injury. And they got a freshman in there, and the kid's playing great. That to me is what is frightening, and why everybody needs to be put on notice is that they are so freaking deep on both sides of the football because they've recruited at an incredible level. They've not necessarily had the number 1 class every single year over the past couple of years, but they've gone and grabbed the right guys at important positions to have depth. That's why this team is in a position to run it back and win another national title.
I think their offensive line, look now, Milton, here's something that's interesting. Okay. It doesn't matter what you do, they're going to find ways to beat you. Let me give you an example. Kendall Milton had 14 carries for 66 yards. They did not run the ball effectively. I forget when this play was called. I'm sure Georgia fans will remind me. The little reverse that they had, okay, Bobo's in his bag, buddy. Like, I know that you will give it to whoever's calling plays at Washington, Mike Denbrock at LSU, as Broyles Award winners. I am throwing Mike Bobo in that conversation. Okay.
Was Bobo one of the? I know that they released the 50 finalists.
I think he's a semifinalist. But
okay, good.
I'm talking about dudes that should be sent to New York. Okay, when we do these all the pick, Mike Bobo should be there because it's just the way that he's calling plays. Okay, you can't run the football effectively. Carson Beck's going to light it up for you. Dillon Bell's going to light it up for you. And, Joe, they're not even fully healthy. Ladd McConkey is out for whatever reason. I said, he's a healthy – bullshit. He's hurt. Okay? They didn't need him. The problem is, Joe, they are beat up and still beating the shit out of everybody. Joe, that's 3 straight weeks that they played a ranked opponent and demolished them.
That's the key there. That's the key.
Everybody, and you know what's so aggravating? You can clip this part too. Here's the aggravating part. I heard for 10 weeks, who has Georgia played? Who has Georgia played? Who has Georgia played? Well, the last 3 weeks, Georgia's played ranked opponents wherever you want to put Tennessee. They've played ranked opponents, Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and beat the dog crap out of everybody. Maybe not Missouri so much, but dude, that's what makes him scary. Kirby is playing on NCAA. He's playing on varsity. And the recruiting part of it, he's playing on junior varsity.
Yes.
That's how good they've been. And I don't think people understand that part.
Well, the ones that are paying attention understand. And the ones that should be fans of these teams that are in the top 5 should be very afraid. I am praying for whatever team has to play them in the first round. That could be just a total momentum game for them. Oh, you put up your finger. I thought you were going to say something.
Oh, no. Oh. I was putting myself on mute.
I was rounding out my point, though. We say the same thing every single week. We're probably not going to talk about them at all this week, which might hurt our views a little bit.
Well, it's Thanksgiving. Nobody's,
Well, Well, but they're playing Georgia Tech, so maybe we should do a Georgia Tech preview. Maybe we should, just for the sake of our audience.
To end this for me.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been thinking about this all day. Maybe because I'm from the South. Who knows? The Alabama-Georgia game is the most intriguing game that I think that I have left. Now, I know Ohio State and Michigan are playing this week, but I got to be real with you. After what I've seen, we're going to talk about Michigan here in a minute. From what I've seen from Michigan the last 2 weeks, I don't have a lot of faith in them. Okay. It comes down to Kirby and Nick again. We talked all that shit about the SEC, or people talked all that shit about the SEC. And I do think, whether you like it or not, the best two teams playing right now, okay, is Alabama and Georgia. And you can hate me for it. You can say I'm biased.
I don't agree with that.
Who else?
Michigan had a bad game, and I don't think that we should.
Drag
them down
if
for
JJ
one game.
McCarthy does that against Alabama, they're gonna get their asses beat.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But they're not going to play Alabama. They're not going to face off with.
If Alabama, if Michigan,
Alabama will not beat Georgia, I will continually bang the table for that statement. You and I both know that they will not beat Georgia. Alabama cannot.
You never know.
They have.
You know who has them contracts with the playoff? ESPN. Hey, guys, we're going to call some plays against Georgia, get them to lose. We can get two SEC teams into the playoff.
If that happens and we have two SEC teams in the playoff, I might not show up for this show, for those previews. I might just sit and listen to you talk. I might just mute my mic and sit and listen to you talk. I might do that.
You can say they can't throw. I don't know who he's saying he can't throw, but you better not say Milroe.
Wait, let's put a little asterisk on that. They won't be able to throw against Georgia. There's no way.
I do not think that they'll be able to throw against Georgia.
One-on-one, Trey Burton is not – he is not going to get the plays that he gets against some of these opponents going up against Kamari Lassiter and that secondary. They're one of the few teams that's going to be able to go one-on-one man coverage and lock them down. I'm telling y'all right now. We were just yelling about Michigan. Let's talk about we needed –
Well, we got two super chats. I just got notified on. Michael Morris sends a $4.99 super chat. Says, Joe, can you address, I'm assuming, our dress as Harry Potter for Halloween by default?
I ironically, and I'll find a picture of it. I used to have the glasses I had before this, much thicker, like circular frames. They looked exactly like the Harry Potter glasses. It works well on Hinge, by the way, because a lot of girls like Harry Potter. It's just I will not elaborate further.
I'm calling your girlfriend at the end of the show.
She likes Harry Potter.
He just said that Jordan Travis break looked like a lower fib fracture. Thank you, Michael, for both those super chats. Yeah, it did.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Let's do this. We're going to talk Washington, Oregon State next, and then we'll talk some Michigan football here. Let's talk about our good friends, though, over at Home Field Apparel. Joe, look at this.
I didn't bring any of my home field to New Jersey with me. I messed up.
Way to go. God dog it. I'm trying to think of the mafia family from New Jersey.
Soprano?
Oh, way to go, Soprano.
I blew it.
All right. Talk about our good friends over at Home Field Apparel. Guys, listen. Christmas is coming up. Dude.
There's a Black Friday sale going on right now. Home Field. Use our link.
Well, use the promo code Ruffino, Joe. I'm just going to tell you, these shirts are freaking comfortable. And I'm not just saying because they're a sponsor on the show. They are freaking comfortable. Go over to Home Field Apparel. Use that promo code Ruffino, Joe. Don't go anywhere. We're back next.
Ruffino and Joe Show is brought to you by Home Field Apparel, which is the best, without a doubt, premium collegiate apparel brand that is out there. They have over 150 different colleges that you can choose from, whether you're an Illinois fan or a Rutgers fan, maybe you're an LSU fan like Blake, or maybe you're an Alabama fan, whatever it is, even Idaho. They have so many different designs for so many different football programs that I can guarantee you're going to find some great stuff to help root for your favorite team. I've already gotten my Notre Dame stuff. Blake has his LSU stuff. Make sure you head on over to homefieldapparel.com to check out your team's collection of clothing, apparel that they have on the website. And when you do so, when you check out, make sure you use promo code Ruffino Joe to get 15% off your order. That is RUFFINO, Ruffino Joe. Head on over to homefieldapparel.com and get your college gear today.
Sources tell Ruffino and Joe show that Jamie Chadwell is the lead target for Mississippi State.
Oh.
Can we divert very quickly and talk about this 5 minutes?
Yeah.
All right. So listen. All right. So don't clip that part out of it. Don't put that in here. Okay. I don't want. So listen. Jamie Chadwell is someone at Liberty who has gotten a lot of recognition for Mississippi State. What are your initial thoughts on him being a leading candidate for Mississippi State?
I said this, that when we found out about the opening, that he fits the bill perfectly. I think that Mississippi State needs to invest in a coach that has been successful at smaller programs, has an understanding of how to develop and grow players, but most importantly, calls a creative offense that is hard to stop. We have seen Jamie Chadwell pull out some crazy games in his time as the head coach of Coastal Carolina and at Liberty. I think that he is the number one guy you got to go after. And I think that they have a huge advantage right now. Some of these other openings are probably going to come open in the next few weeks. There's also probably going to be a team that loses, a big team that loses their head coach. They are in a position to move quickly, go after him. Liberty's not really playing for anything, outside of their conference championship. Go get him now, offer him an empty check, and bring him on over to Starkville.
Liberty's got money. People need to remember
Not
that.
as much as Mississippi State, though. You
True,
think that
they got that deep South Bible money.
Right.
So my brother's FaceTiming me. You think I should embarrass him on the show?
That's up to you.
No, I'm not going to do that. All right. Washington, Oregon State faced off this past weekend in Corvallis. Joe, I got to admit, I know Washington fans are going to come in here and they're going to get mad at me. They hate me, which is fine. I still think they're a flawed team. I still think that they're a flawed team. Now, you put into the description, what should we make of this?
Okay.
Don't you get mad at me.
Yeah, I thought you were going to air me out because I did use some salacious vocabulary to spark a conversation, but those are not my thoughts.
DJ, you blew it at the end.
Not surprised.
And no, I am. I'm surprised that I would not think about that. That there would be a play at the end that he would need to make that he wouldn't. I think Washington, and I will say this, is a good team. I just think that they're more flawed than any playoff team that's there. They won by 2 points. They keep winning. You're right. Good teams continue to win. They should have continued to go to Martinez if you're Oregon State. Take the ball out of DJU's hands. Every time that he was put into a very crucial situation, he did not make the play. Oregon State was close and had everything in their favor. Home field, big crowd, rainy environment. Wouldn't matter. And I'll give Michael Penix this. He had a horrible game, 13 of 28, 162, 2 touchdowns.
A lot of drops. There were a lot of drops.
There were a lot of drops, but it still goes on him. Roma Dunze didn't have a lot of them because he had 7 catches, 106, 2 touchdowns. They're a good offensive team, but I think when they play the next time, and I think this is going to be Oregon, they play a more complete team, they're going to lose because I just see so many massive flaws. If Oregon State can push you around, there are 3 other teams that you could potentially play in college football that's also going to push you around. I mean, the Martinez kid had 26 carries, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Here's why, though, Blake, that I still feel the same sentiment and the same confidence in Washington that I've had this entire season. Wow, stupid camera cutting in and out. I still maintain this confidence, Blake, in Washington, because despite that, we knew coming into this game that Oregon State was going to try to out-physical them. We knew that they were going to come to the table and dominate them along the line of scrimmage. I mean, heck, one of the things you talked about is that they would have this ability to control the clock. They did that in the second half. They kept the ball out of Washington's hands.
Dude, and think about this. Washington only had 6 plays, 7 yards in the whole third quarter.
Right. That was why they came back into the game. But that's
right.
why I maintained my insanely cliche statement that still holds true. Good teams find ways to win when they need to do so. And that's what they did in this game. The game was on the line in the fourth quarter. They closed out. They got the job done. They made plays in important situations defensively, despite their defense not having the upper hand for most of this football game. They found ways to get stops. And most importantly, when they needed scores in certain situations, as I've said this entire year, any team in the country that I feel confident in, the most confident in marching down the field and getting a touchdown, it is the Washington Huskies. Roma Dunze,
over Oregon and LSU?
Yeah, Roma Dunze and Michael Penix have one of the best connections, consistent connections in college football. When they need first down, there was one of the last plays in this game when he connected with the Dunze, throwing the ball. He threw the ball in a situation that you would never throw the ball at the end of this game, and they threw the ball to Roma Dunze, and that was the de facto play that ended the football game, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was.
I continue to point to the fact that if they need to make adjustments and they need to play a different style of football, they can win football games. And that's what they did here. They made adjustments. They looked bad in the third quarter, but they made the adjustments when they were necessary to find a way to win this football game. It is one of those teams that we can't really pinpoint why they keep finding ways to win. They just have that juice, and I'm going to keep riding it.
Please don't ever say the words juice and writing it in the same sentence every show.
The way you paused, I knew that was coming.
Of course you did. You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
The problem I had, I think, Joe, going back again today and rewatching this game was I don't think that it was necessarily that they found ways to win. A lot of things that I continue to look at, I felt like Oregon State were finding ways to lose it.
Wait. I understand what you're about to say. Yes, the bad snap, the fumbles, all the interceptions. But should we not, instead of criticizing the fact that Oregon State lost this game, should we not give Washington credit for not making those same mistakes?
The other team is driving down the field and they make a mistake. That's not them making the stop. The fumble and all these different things. That's not you making the stop. The third and 3 play when DJU literally, okay, could have run for the first down. Him trying to throw the ball deep and you wind up, not being able to convert. Those are things that I don't think 7 other teams in college football make.
But I'm not saying that those were accredited stops for Washington. I'm saying that in a messy, rainy game like that, yes, they had a fumble with Dylan Johnson on a drive that they could have scored. But outside of that, they didn't make the typical mistakes that bad or average football teams make. Oregon State made those mistakes. They did not hold on to the football. They had errant throws. They had misplays, tipped passes, bad snaps. And Washington did make those same mistakes.
I think that they lost the game more. I think a more cleaner game, meaning if you could have gotten, and I'm not talking about the missed throws in the rain. I'm talking about the decision making. I'm talking about, look, and even the coaching to that point. Run the ball. Joe, what are you throwing it for on 3rd and 3 when you got Martinez in the backfield? Why are you throwing the ball with DJU? A monsoon is coming down.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? Like somebody, somebody in the heavens is taking a piss on Carvallis right now. Okay? And you deciding to throw the ball with DJU on 3rd and 3 when you're down 2, isn't it? It's idiotic.
I think it needs to be acknowledged here, though. And I get what you're saying. The rest of the way, assuming that they make it to the playoff, they're not going to get
blown out by somebody.
They're not going to play in any more bad weather situations. They're not going to.
Well, you don't know how it's going to be in Vegas in a couple weeks.
They're in a dome. That's in a dome.
Yeah, I forget Alliance Stadium is a dome, isn't it?
Also, it doesn't really rain in. I know what you're trying to do, but my point is that their offense is built to succeed on turf. They managed to find a way to win in the rain. You think that they're not going to come out and firing all cylinders in the next 2 games that they've got, next 3 games?
So they hadn't fired off on all cylinders the last 3 weeks, last month.
But they're still winning, though. They're still winning. I don't think that it is a foregone conclusion that they beat Oregon. We can't look past the fact that the amount of ranked wins that they have.
They lose to Oregon.
That's going to be a fun preview. You and I are going to yell at each other. We are going to get into a shouting match. I'm already preparing for it.
And look, here's the truth. For me, myself as a fan base, like as me as a fan, I want Oregon to lose. You know why? Because it's Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Heisman type stuff. Like, I want Washington to win.
Well,
because if Bo Nix loses and doesn't look good, Jaden Daniels is going to win the sucker.
Yeah, he moves up a spot. He absolutely does.
Well, technically, he's a betting odd favorite now. But the bottom line is, I just think they're a flawed team. And they got pushed around, Joe. Anytime you have a back that has, and look, he was breaking tackles. Martinez was breaking tackles.
He played his ass off. I love watching him play.
He played his ass off. He's not the best back that he's going to see this from here on out. He's not.
He's one of the best. He's one of the most under-talked about backs in the country.
Sure, he's not the best.
He is a better back than Bucky Irving on Oregon. He is a better back than anything on Washington State. Maybe not better than anything on Michigan, but I think that he would start on Georgia right now.
Put Dylan Bell back there. Dylan Bell run his ass over. Run all of them some bitches over.
Look,
Dylan Bell, by the way, Dylan Bell wrote the Bible in Hebrew. Okay? That kid could do no wrong to me. All right?
Blake, Oregon State was pushing everyone around this year. They have one of the most physical. I mean, like I've said it this week. Go watch Talise Fuaga, the clips that I've posted of him. The guy is a mauler, and he's the identity of the whole offensive line. They've done that to everybody. We shouldn't knock Washington just because they got pushed around on some plays. Everybody's had that happen to them. It's a good team. It's a good running team, but they got beat.
Poster says Blake is 0-12 against Washington. That's not true. I'm like 2-2. We picked 4 games against them.
You have the ironic thing is you have picked Washington to win some games.
I know. I picked Washington to win some games. I think you brought up something interesting, and it's not completely comparable, but in reference to you and I's show, okay, you said, well, Blake, to you, they're last year's TCU team. And they might be. Like, they might be. Are. You know, and again, they play Georgia again, the same outcome's going to happen.
Oh, God, I can't have it. They're better than that TCU team.
They're
way better than that TCU.
Way better. But it doesn't mean that Georgia ain't going to blow them out. I just think I see flaws up front on both lines of scrimmage. Maybe Oregon can take advantage of that. We'll see. All right. You want to get to this, to wrap it up, you want to get to this Michigan and Maryland game?
Yeah, let's do it. Michigan
and Maryland faced off this past weekend. Joe, I'm going to be real with you. Is this what it looks like when you don't steal signs if you're Michigan?
They haven't been stealing signs the whole season.
Not
the whole season, but at least since these allegations became public. They'd be stupid to be trying to do it.
Listen, we just got done talking about a game that I thought the opposing team who won, the team that won, the opposing team actually lost it. Joe, I look at this game. Maryland, okay, 3 Maryland TDs, okay, that they had. If they could have played remotely consistent in this game, Michigan would have gone down. They had 2 turnovers. They had the safety. So many different things happened to Maryland. But look, I will admit this for Michigan. When their defense needed them the most, they stood up.
Right.
JJ McCarthy had a horrible game. He didn't look good. The running game, Blake Corum, I know that he had 90-something yards, but still, he was at under 5 yards a carry. He had 28 carries, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. They looked a little lost on offense. I got to admit, they just look a little lost. Now, it's difficult because they still put up 28 points, right? Like, they still put up some points. But if your quarterback's going to look like that, I don't have a lot of faith in you. Dude, Tua's little brother. That's what I always call him. Tagovailoa.
Talia.
2 interceptions. 2 bad interceptions. Made some big-time throws, though. I'll give him this. He made some big-time throws, but, man, this was so bad in some of these decisions.
He and Joe Milton are notoriously, for the last 3 years, of these 2 guys that have just everyone has tried to drive up the market for them and be like, oh, man, watch out for this guy. He's going to do some really good things. And then it just never comes. And the mistakes are horrendous. To focus on Michigan here, though, Blake, look, I disagree with you on this being a game that's telling of their issues. It is telling of one issue, and we'll get to it in a quick second, but I think that it needs to be said, and one of the more important things that I love to bring up for those that haven't played football in a college locker room at the Division I level like we did, don't totally understand the emotional dump that goes into certain games and the way that you play the following week. I stupidly completely looked past this by betting on Michigan to cover by 20 points, but you could just see that they were drained. They were very, very drained. I will emphasize, though, something you brought up with JJ McCarthy. I have brought up this before. I think JJ McCarthy's ceiling is pretty high, and when he plays his best football, they're the best team in the country. They're one of the, if not at least a not too far behind, second best team in the country. But the problem is, unlike Carson Beck, his floor is cavernous. It is unbelievably low because when he's off, he is off. He makes some really bad decisions. His accuracy is just very shoddy and inconsistent. I had Michigan fans telling me I had no idea what I was talking about. You can't watch him play and tell me he does not have games where he cannot hit anything. And that's what happened in this game. The interceptions, before he threw that second half interception right before or second quarter interception before the end of the first half, he made one of the worst throws I've seen. I don't know how that one didn't get picked off.
Yeah, the one before the pick was really bad.
We just have to be really wary that version of JJ McCarthy is possible. It is still there. And if he comes out in the playoff or against Ohio State, they will lose. He is one of the final point on this. The problem with JJ McCarthy is that when he starts playing bad, he does not recover. He's done for the game.
It's exactly what I said last week. Penn State was the best team that he saw. And I got ripped by Michigan fans when I said, it looks like you don't trust him. Okay, like you threw the ball 8 times. It looks like you don't trust him.
Yeah.
The best 2 teams that he's faced so far, he's looked below average. Okay, so what are you going to sit here and tell me that? What do you mean he looked good? You don't. It feels as if. Let me tell you what it feels as if. Now I don't know. I don't think that he is. It feels like he has an injury, and you're doing things to cover up for him. You're running plays to cover things up for him. He has not looked good at all. So I look at them. I still think they're a dangerous team. I still think defensively they're extremely good. Okay? But I don't know if they can beat Ohio State. Now, the good thing would be this week they have the game is at home.
Right. That's a very key detail that's going to come into this week.
But you can only get college kids up so much. They have been emotionally drained. Okay? They won. And their defense forced turnovers. They're still a top 4 team. But the only I think their biggest question mark is at quarterback with JJ McCarthy.
Well, at the end of the day,
when the last 2 weeks, and I don't think he's good enough to lead him to a national title right now.
I don't disagree with that. And I think that One thing that's going to factor in all this is that I just don't know who are we less scared of? Is Kyle McCord or JJ McCarthy, which we'll probably unpack on tomorrow's show.
At the current moment, you want the real take should be you'd be more scared of JJ McCarthy because you've seen him more. But we have not. I mean, let's see what Kyle McCord can do.
Kyle McCord is yet to have like a real nut up, step up to the plate type of a game. It's all been the surrounding cast carrying the group. And I think Ohio State fans shouldn't disagree with that. That's why they've won, is that he's played well enough. His different from JJ, his floor is very high. He's going to be really steady. We don't know what his ceiling is because he hasn't even really touched it.
Very true. Look, they keep getting bailed out. I mean, they've been bailed out by the defense the last 2 weeks. Okay, they've been bailed out by the running game and the defense the last 2 weeks. If they want to win a natty, McCarthy's going to have to be big this upcoming week. He's going to have to be big down the stretch. And if he's not, they're going to lose. Because listen, Joe, the Big Ten title game is next week. Iowa won their division, by the way. They continue to win. All right?
Hilarious.
Which is ridiculous. But the Big Ten title game is next week. And if JJ McCarthy continues to play like he's done the last 2 weeks, Ohio State's going to win, and that's the final line.
We'll see what happens.
All right. Washington fans are already in the chat, Joe. They're pissed off at me. You see that?
I didn't have the chat open because my computer is a little smaller than the one I use in LA, but I opened it for a second and I saw you. I saw you going back and forth with them, man. Come on.
He said something like, I hate the show. Well, I'm like, you don't have to be here.
Why you? Clearly you don't. Clearly you like the show because you wouldn't be here.
Very true. Big week this week, though, buddy. I know we got Thanksgiving, but we got a lot of games. We got some scheduled times. You will be live earlier on Wednesday. So look for that Wednesday more morning. I think 9 a.m. on Wednesday, Central Standard Time. So be on the lookout for that. Until then, Joe, great show.
Yes,
we'll see y'all. Go to Home Field Apparel, bet online. Y'all all, if you don't see us until then, y'all all have a good Thanksgiving. We'll see you tomorrow, actually. See you tomorrow. Y'all have a good one. Peace.